If you're wondering, I'm actually lighting this video with a lamp and my tablet, so hopefully I have a higher production value than portafield, and the lighting outside is always changing. Fun. Okay, so here's how to do the dice, or a better word for it would be controlled UV unwrapping. Okay, so let's forget this for a second and let's go to Google. And basically the way we want to do it is we want to unwrap it. That's why it's called UV unwrapping. We want to unwrap the cube. So you've probably already seen this. Let's just Google geometry cube net. Okay, and a net is basically, you've seen this a million times in geometry or something, or primary school or whatever. It's basically what happens when you peel a cube open, basically, and that's how we want it to be. So I'm gonna copy it and stick it, let's just Control N. Okay, that's way too small. Uh, let's just paste it, paste that net, and then I'm gonna use the pen. I'm on my graphics tablet here, uh, the lovely graphics tablet. If you don't have it, you can use a mouse. It doesn't matter, but the pen is good for drawing or something like that, creating textures, or maybe just it's really good for when you want, yeah, when you want flexibility over accuracy. The mouse is a lot more accurate. Um, but I'm just gonna, so my net is on this layer, so I'm gonna add a new layer, which is like a transparent sheet. If you didn't know, it's like a transparent layer on top of it. So if I draw on it, so let's say it's sideways, so let's just turn it. Oh, I can't turn it, but whatever. Let's just go one. Whoops. Oh no, it's lagging. Turn, 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 turn. Just a little bit more. Just turn a little. Oh, too much. Oh. A little bit more. A little bit more. It won't turn. Oh, that's annoying. Turn. 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 Mm. I hate it when it turns halfway through and it doesn't go through the entire thing. Ah, this is annoying. Oh, now it does. Oh, now you do it. You know what? Screw it. No. Control N. Do that again. And yeah, I think that will suffice for now. So now the background layer is kind of redundant, but well, it's white, so it is important. So let's add a new layer, and that layer has to go on top of that net layer. So this is the net layer. If I turn it off, it'll go away. Just in case you didn't know Photoshop, you probably do. So, and I already made a marking. Whoops, and it's lagging like crazy. But I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's really pixelated because this image is really small, but it'll do. So I'll go save. No, actually, you know what? I'm gonna turn off that net because if I still have that net and then I save it as an image, the net will show up, and I don't want that to happen. So save as, and I'm gonna save it as a JPEG. Usually I like to save it as a PNG or PNG, but because the JPEG and the JPEG doesn't preserve transparency, but in this case it doesn't really matter because I don't have any transparent parts. So I'm going to dice texture. I've already done this before. If you haven't noticed, I've already done this before. A dice texture 2. Okay, like I said, this is my 4th time recording this. For whatever reason, it didn't work the first 3 times. So okay, anyways, it's gonna work this time. Image. So right now we have this brick, this actually really nice brick texture on it, but we're going to change it. So we're going to press the X, delete it. Now it's back to pink because there's no image associated with it. So we're going to open, and not Easter competition. We're going to do UV unwrapping, dice texture 2. And it'll lag again, as predicted. And let me close Photoshop because we probably won't be needing it. Nope, nope, do not save. Okay, good. So now that we have it mapped, let's take out the dice texture. Okay, so right now it's already unwrapped, but it's unwrapped in a way that we don't want it to be unwrapped. Okay, so instead of it being one for this and 2 for this, 3 like that, the entire image is being mapped on it, and that the reason why is because this margin is not being unwrapped properly. And you see, if I select all of it and then select it all, select all the corners, you see it stretches, but it's gonna take forever. So what we're gonna do is, like, if we try to arrange all of them one by one, it's gonna take forever. So what we're gonna do is something probably a bit faster. Whoops. Okay, I'm gonna go to Edge Select. So I'm only selecting edges here. Let's move this over a little bit, and we're gonna go. Basically, we're gonna cut these edges. So you see these edges, okay, so these edges, these selected edges, including the white one. If we cut these edges the way we cut it, it's gonna be, actually, it might be a bit different. Let me see. So that one's okay. So we want to cut this one. Whoops. No. This. Okay. So we want to cut like this, and yeah, we gotta cut like this, and hopefully when it unwraps, it should. When it unwraps, it's gonna unwrap like this cross shape. So we have to mark these edges so that when we press unwrap again, it will cut at these edges. So let's press Control E. Okay, and we're gonna press Mark Seam. Okay, and if you deselect everything, these edges should be marked red. Okay, that means they're marked. That means these are seams. You've told the computer, you've told Blender that these are the seams that you want to cut on. And so we're going to select everything and then unwrap again. So U and unwrap. And you see it lands almost perfectly. Okay, that was lucky, but the mesh lands perfectly on it. So the mesh is unwrapped perfectly. Oh, this is so nice. It's always so nice, but it almost never happens like this. So we're going to do this texture, and you see, oh, it's perfect. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's our dice. So let's say, for the purposes of demonstration, what if we wanted the 6 to rotate? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have to take that edge and we're gonna have to separate it from this mesh, because if you notice, if you select everything and we try selecting only this vertex, if I try to move, I can try moving it, but it'll also move the vertices on the top, and like the 1 and 2 will be reversed, will be altered, but I only want to move the 6. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to select and face select. I'm select 6. So only this box, the bounding box for 6, is there, and then I'm gonna rotate. Okay, and I can press Control after I press R, rotate, and it lagged on me. I press Control, so it only does it in increments, and it's lagging really bad. I don't know why, but I can turn it around. Yeah, you can do it, Blender. You can do it, and I can keep turning it until it's the right side up. So I put it down, and yeah, that's how you rotate it. And you notice that the edges don't actually connect to each other anymore, and that's okay. That's supposed to happen. But if you want to alter the mesh in a way which all of them will be affected, then we have to use the C select or circle select, and select it, and then all the vertices in the same area will be selected. So you can see I can stretch it here. Okay, so there we have our cube, and if we render, we have our lovely little cube. Yeah, that's it. So we've done this kind of advanced unwrapping, but what if we wanted to do something really complex, like uh, let's just say a funny looking tube, or a funny looking mesh, or maybe something even complicated like a human face. Okay, that will depend on each particular object. For example, let's just delete this cube because I don't need it anymore. You guys have already seen it. Let's say we have this little mesh. Let's say um, let's just give it a plane, and let's just make it a funny looking mesh. Okay, vertices, select mode. We're just gonna do this really quickly. Okay, I'm gonna select that remaining vertice and extrude. Oops, extrude, extrude, and connect these two. This is a really horrible topology, but for the purpose of this example, I'm going to extrude that, extrude. Okay, that's a funny looking tube, right? And we're just gonna, you know what? Is select the faces and then connect each other. And this is really bad topology, but you can see it's really bad topology because if I add a subsurf modifier, it doesn't really know how to deal with it. See, it's not really that nice. This is not that bad, but it doesn't deal with it very well. Let's just say, okay. Let's just say it looks like this. Okay. So there's that. So how do we unwrap something like this? Well, it really depends on each particular object. And in this case, I would say that this shape looks like a really distorted cylinder. And you know how to unwrap a cylinder, right? So cylinder net. Okay, it looks like this. It looks like this. We pretty much know how it's done. It's circle, circle, and then a flat area. So we're gonna have to mark seams. Whoops. Let's Control E and mark these. So now these are marked, and we're gonna mark the other end of the cone. Oh, not cone, cylinder. Control E, mark seam, and then we're gonna mark all the way. So these are the cuts that it will perform when we unwrap. So mark seam, and then when we unwrap, hopefully, and it varies every single time. But it's done it's done it nicely this time. It's unwrapped. So if I wanted, let's just change this to texture mode so we can see what the heck we're doing. Oh, and of course we need to give it a material, and we need to give it Shift A, input. No, not input. A texture, image texture, and plug it in. And it's gone pink, so let's give it the dice texture, which we probably shouldn't be doing, but let's give it the dice texture. And let's say I want to put the 5 as one of these. So which one is this? Let's go back to face selection. Oh, so that's that. So let's select this pentagon and we'll move it here. Is that, oh, that seems okay? That's fine. That's the other end. So that's that. And let's put this pentagon, which should be this side, and we'll select that. And then let's move it on to 4, shall we say. Scale up a little bit if I want it to be smaller. Obviously smaller makes it bigger, bigger makes it smaller, right? Let's take the rest of the mesh, and I can just select everything, and then deselect these vertices. So shift right click, right, to deselect. And then I can do whatever I want basically. Scale on the x-axis. Okay, so that's S with an X. Or scale with the y-axis. And if I want to make this a flat line, which it probably should be, I would just scale on the z, not on z, the y-axis. Or I'll scale vertically. So if I scale upwards, it becomes more crooked. If I scale downwards, it becomes, or rather closer to the center point, then it'll become straight. So if I alt select all these lines and then scale Y, and I can straighten these lines. like that. And I can keep doing this for all of them, and then I can arrange it in whatever way I want. So where's the 6? So yeah, and if I wanted to change it, I can always change to the nice brick texture. Let's pull up the brick texture again. So you can see that there's there's a lot of freedom that you get with UV unwrapping, and it's quite vital when it comes to getting the little details and stuff that you wouldn't model into the model itself, and that's how people back in the 1990s or so, that's how people did it, because the computers couldn't handle that many vertices, so all they did was UV unwrapping, and you can kind of see progression. Now it's a lot better though in games and stuff. Anyways, so that's how you do UV unwrapping. But what if you wanted to do it for something that's much more complicated than a tube? Okay, let's say uh, Suzanne or a human face. Um, that's a lot more difficult, and it really depends on each independent uh, region, each model you have. Uh, but what's more important is that you do get a texture for it. So yeah, I hope you got something out of this. So now you can go ahead and do your own UV unwrapping. Yeah, it's fun.